Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast. In today's episode, we'll be featuring one of the many great tools and software available to Amazon sellers to help you grow your FBA business. A special thank you to our sponsor, GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics. Now it's time to show us what you got with your host, Lisa Kinski.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Show Us What You Got. Today we have with us Vince Montero from Trivium Group, wrapping up the third installment of the three-part series of talking about an Amazon seller's guide to PPC. And today we are covering the advanced strategies. Vince, welcome back, sweetheart.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. Excited for today's session. Hopefully it's not too much content, but people can rewind.
Yes, definitely. Rewind, pause, take snapshots. The past two episodes of this have been so incredibly informative, especially the second episode with the intermediate strategies. That covered so much meat going into Amazon, showing real examples. I'm excited to just jump straight into the advanced strategies today. So if you guys like this show, give us a comment, subscribe, definitely turn on notifications. We'll link to the two previous episodes in this video as well. But without further ado, let's get to the advanced strategies. Vince, go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So in the last session, you guys know I kind of just went over all the different campaign types. Hopefully you remember all those. If you don't, go back. But I'm just going to dive right into the two most popular ones that are advanced. I consider advanced. And that would be sponsored brand and then sponsored display. So sponsored brand, if you remember, it's just the ad unit at the very top of the page. But I want to talk about specifically video because it is a little bit more advanced. So why are these so important? Now, if you guys know, if you're shopping on Amazon, you see video, it grabs your attention. So it's going to give you that boost, especially if you're just at product launch. It definitely helps shoppers quickly discover your product. It definitely can help grow your sales and increase your revenue. I've seen that across the board for every client that I've worked with to launch video. And lastly, it builds your reputation with Amazon shoppers. So I want to spend a second on that one, because what that means is if a person sees a video, they think of a little bit more quality. They think of commercial, right? So especially if your video is commercial grade, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but we'll go into that. But when you see videos, that brand just gets a little bit of boost in reputability to the shoppers' minds. And I can kind of see that based on this last stat that I just learned recently at Prosper, was 60% of shoppers say they want to learn about your product through video. So most people are very visual. So if you can show them how to use your product or the benefits and features right away, that is the preferred method for shoppers wanting to learn about your product. So you all know the placements. We went over a little bit. The search results video ad, this is kind of in the middle of the page. However, I've now seen it on the bottom of the page as well. And I'm seeing more and more of that. So Amazon is increasing the number of placements for this just search result video ad. And by search result, I mean, what's the ad playing on the search results page after you do a particular search on Amazon. But there's also the product detail video ad. So these are also very powerful. And in some instances, I've seen these convert even higher than the search results version. All that means is on a detail page, there's a couple of different sections now. This is just one example of videos that can play on a product detail page. So you can have your video, if you're bidding correctly, playing on your competitor's listing, which is extremely powerful. But last but not least, this is brand new, guys. So this is something I recently did about a video on, a YouTube video on for Trivium, specifically dedicated just to this brand, this sponsored brand video. But now there's top of search. So I want to just show you this because looking at the image, it's a static image, but I did find an example of this. So I went on Amazon, clicked bulletproof coffee. Actually, I was looking for branding or conquesting examples, which we'll get into, but right away, bulletproof coffee, there's a video playing, right? So how powerful is that, right? If you're on your mobile phone, especially, that literally it's the first thing that you see on your phone whenever you do a search if you're doing this placement. So again, this is usually, or the standard placement for this is 3 different products and maybe a lifestyle image if you add one, which you should, your logo and a tagline. That's what's typically here. But now you can actually run video ads right at the top of the page. above the fold is a term that we use for showing ads where a person doesn't have to scroll. This is the ultimate above the fold ad placement because the shopper doesn't have to do anything. It auto plays and it'll go on repeat. And again, super powerful. Now there's some caveats to this, which I'll go over. So these new ads can only be directed to a store. So if you don't have a brand store yet, you need to have one or else you can't run this type of campaign. You have to create a campaign that uses an ad group. Which is another feature of sponsor brand videos. It's kind of new. I don't know why they added ad groups into sponsor brands, but you can create an ad group now within sponsor brand campaigns. And that's kind of a requirement. So if you're already running video ads, which is great, you're showing up maybe in the middle of the page, maybe in the bottom of the page now. If you want to start showing up at the top of the page, you do have to create a new campaign because likely you don't have a video campaign that's likely running to your store or with an ad group because it's, again, very, very new, but extremely powerful and definitely something I wanted to kind of out of the gate talk about so you guys can really kind of jump on this. So if you haven't created video ads yet, I wanted to just kind of give you some tips, especially if you're thinking about this new top of search placement. And even if you have videos running, take a look at these. Maybe they're not performing well because they're not following some of these best practices. So definitely pay attention. Know your audience. I mean, that should be pretty basic, but hopefully you've done a lot of research on the type of shopper that's interested in your product. And you should really, at a bare minimum, show at least 3 benefits and features very close in the beginning. The shopper actually or a person using the product to showcase those features or benefits. You definitely want to show the product very, very early within the first seconds. I've seen far too many videos on Amazon where there's a lot of setup or there's some setup at the beginning of the video and then the product is a little bit, maybe 5 to 10 seconds away. You don't want to do that. Whatever the product is, it needs to be kind of in the first frame, right? Keep it brief. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed that too. I've seen some videos out there.
Yeah, you become like confused as to what the product is about, and the only times that I've kind of stuck with it is a product being sold on Amazon that was marketed as being for tea, but it was for another loose leaf green that you would want to keep in a box that was scent protected, if you will. So like there was a lot of setup for that one. Yeah. It's legal in California, not here. But it was like such a unique product. And it was because I was looking at that item specifically for a friend. It was like, okay, that's the only reason I'm going to stay with this video. Like I already had the intent. Otherwise it was way too much setup and I wouldn't have stayed on there.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a great case study, so to speak. Yeah, the product should have been right at the beginning and then maybe do some setup and then show the video or show the product again, right? That's ideal. Keep it brief, 15 to 30 seconds. I'd say even 10 seconds if you can really do a good message within this because you're just trying to grab the person's attention and it'll auto play so they can watch it again. Optimized for the format, videos should be understood without sound and images, should be easily seen on a mobile device. Again, I mentioned this previously. Imagine the power of, you can see in this example, building toys. The video is kind of in the middle, but imagine it just being right at the top. You definitely want to make sure the images are big enough so that they can be seen on your mobile phone. Not everyone's shopping on desktop. In fact, more and more people are shopping on the mobile phone. So that simply means make sure your product images, it's like not small. It's not in the background. It's in the foreground, right? And then again, consider the loop. You could add a card at the end, like showing like your logo. I like the concept of making it like appear like it's just a continuous video by considering that loop. And the loop simply means that it does auto play. Run ads for your best sellers. If you haven't run video ads at all before, I would say just start with your best sellers. You already know they sell very well. So if you're just kind of testing the waters, make sure you just start with those ones and then expand. Use lifestyle footage. Again, show shoppers, real people using your product, especially showcasing the features and benefits so that the shopper can watch and envision themselves actually using your same product. You can use on-screen text, especially if your product is like needs explanation. If it's not simple to, understand, it's not just a lipstick, it's something else, it's more advanced. Yeah, you may want to have some text on there. Make sure that it's kind of at the bottom. Make sure it doesn't cover anything up or else you won't be approved. And I'll go over some of those bullet points afterwards. And you can choose a call to action if you do text, but choose a very, very simple kind of language to direct your shopper. Again, Amazon guidelines are pretty pretty fierce for video ads. You like no user generated content. There's all kinds of things. So you definitely want to pay attention to those kind of rules and follow the guidelines. Last but not least, like I was saying, target your competitor detail pages. So it's an extremely powerful way to showcase your product while a shopper's landed on one of your competitors' products or a complementary product, and potentially, grab their attention. So these are some, now that I've given you some tips on setting it up, I really wanted to give you some tips on a new kind of way to leverage the creative, or maybe to think about the creative. This is something that I was talking about with some people at Prosper, and something that I learned. And so I wanted to share it. It's kind of ingenious and simple, but what you should do if you have data, if you've already been running PPC for quite some time, take a look at some long tail keywords and create a different opening for each version. And this can be done with creative too. So not just the videos, but maybe kind of your static images too, maybe in your sponsored display or sponsored brand campaigns. But if you look at your data and you find a certain number of words or phrases, long tail simply means, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4, 5 or more kind of search terms that are generating sales. So in the example that I was heard from one of the people conducting a session was, imagine you have luggage that's foldable. It's a carry-on and it includes foldable feature, but your video doesn't show the foldable part. But you happen to look at your search terms that are converting, and you see, black foldable carry-on, 1, 2, 3, luggage, which is 5 keywords, or different versions of that. And either you see folding or you see foldable quite a few times, but you don't have that foldable feature in your creative or in your video. So the concept is just take a look at what is actually working for you. And I think I have kind of that in the next. Yeah. So the benefits of actually doing some kind of custom creative around this is that you already have the data to say that it's selling based on these particular search terms. So if you basically say, okay, I'm going to create a short clip, put that at the beginning of my video showing the foldable feature or foldable aspect of it, and then just create a campaign targeting those exact keywords, maybe little variations, including the word folding or foldable, whatever that benefit is, you should have immediate sales, right? Because it's already people that are buying it based on those search terms. So it's kind of a no-brainer. And if you find different versions of that, you just create little custom versions of your video, put that benefit or feature at the beginning, and then just run campaigns specifically to those search terms. And it may not be a lot of sales, because long-tailed keywords, don't make as many sales as maybe general keywords, shorter keywords. But these are when shoppers put in more words for what they're searching for, they have higher buyer intent because they know exactly what it is that they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So these types of videos, again, are creative, and you could do static creative showing a folding feature, put that in a specific campaign, sponsor brand or sponsor display. So again, just a tactic that you can leverage to, if you've got the budget, definitely shouldn't be anything scary. But even if you don't have the budget, again, it should be fine because they've already proven that these words will create sales. So definitely something I think everyone should be looking into. And then also, video can now be added to A+ content. I didn't find an example of it, but it is something that I heard, again, at Prosper. So if you're taking all the time and energy to build out your A+ content in the videos, make sure you're now leveraging that now in the A+ content as well. All right, so avoid rejections. This is what I always like to cover because this does happen quite a bit. It's even happened to me where I've gotten rejected a few different times, and specifically for one of these. So it should be common sense, but make sure there's no black frames at the start or the end of the videos. You don't want to waste time with any kind of issues with static or any kind of black framing, because that will lose the attention of the shopper. Again, video, any kind of abrupt stops and starts, any kind of weird cropping, you don't want to lose or break the attention of the shopper, and that will do that. You can't have any Amazon branding. You guys should be aware of this. You just can't have the word Amazon or Amazon ads anywhere in most creative, especially not video. You can't do customer reviews. I've seen people try to do this, and sometimes they get missed and they're in there, and then they get found out and they get removed. Don't include reviews or star ratings. And then mind the mute button. This was the one that got me, and I got rejected like 10 times for a video I was trying to put through for a client. And it was simply because the words, again, like I was saying before, the words that you can do on the video make sure they don't cover the far lower right-hand corner. That's where the volume button is. So if a person wants to hear your audio, then they can click on that button. But if there's words underneath that button, they might not see that button, and Amazon doesn't like that. So kind of some simple things and ways to make sure you don't actually get your videos rejected.
I never would have considered that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, think about it. You're looking at a video. There's always that. It's shaded out, right? It's a shaded out mute button, right? But if there's words running underneath that,
it's super hard.
Might not notice it, and Amazon will ding you for that. Amazon doesn't really do a good job of telling you why your videos get rejected, which is kind of why I wanted to show that screen before. Because again, it took me 10 different times to figure out what am I doing wrong. And then I was like, oh, my words are underneath the mute button. They don't like that. So, all right, sponsored display. I'm going to break this up into kind of two areas because there is two very distinct areas of sponsored display. Contextual targeting. That simply means, targeting your ads to specific ASINs or categories. But real briefly, what are sponsored display product targeting campaigns? It's the campaigns that you see, again, the last video, underneath the bullets, underneath the buy box. Actually, there wasn't one underneath the buy box in the last video, but this is an example of an ad, which is typically below the buy box or the featured offer that Amazon is now calling it. And there's also that top stripe as well above kind of where this image would be. That's also sponsored display. So super powerful placements, again, above the fold when someone lands on a product detail page. And for these particular types of ads, it's really all about the placements and the control. So I wanted to go over just kind of the key benefits of sponsored display ads, because they are really kind of unique. Unlike other campaigns that you can run, sponsored display ads allow sellers to target the product detail pages, again, with ads above the fold, which is super important. So shoppers don't have to scroll to see your ad. You can also use any deal or savings or coupon badges in the creative. So that will call out to the shopper, whether on the search result page or on a product detail page. It allows sellers to target niche product categories and then refine the results by price, brand, rake, and more. So you can kind of really drill down into what you're looking for when you're using categories, and that's very unique to this product type. And I'm going to go into how to do that later. And it allows for customization. So the creative, again, I've said it a couple different times using different types of creative. Pretty much every single campaign type now, you can add creative to it that are the branding, right? So that's a sponsored brand, sponsored display, whether it's keyword targeting, ASIN targeting, category targeting, all of them allow for creative customization. So you definitely want to make sure you take advantage of that. Some simple tips on if you aren't running these types of campaigns yet. Some people find it daunting to figure out, okay, well, how do I find all my, the correct ASINs I should be running on? I say keep it simple. I'm making this the third one because I really strongly feel that sponsored product ads should be the focus, when you're first launching. So if you are doing that, then from your search term reports, from those campaigns that are already running, you should be able to find ASINs from your converting auto campaigns, maybe your campaigns that have broad match keywords in them, which attract lots of search terms. You should be able to find ASINs from there as well. And again, run product targeting campaigns for sponsored products, which we covered. And sponsored brands. You can also run, targeted ASINs for sponsored brand campaigns as well. And then find what works and pull them out and launch it for sponsored display. Run category targeting. So this is what I was mentioning before. You can actually target, certain categories of products that Amazon has broken down for you, and you can leverage that by refining that. So I never say, whenever I teach this, I never just say add a category. You always want to refine it, and that simply means making sure that you have a competitive advantage over it, like the price point or your ranking. If you're brand new, maybe you don't have that many stars yet. So maybe you want to only target ones that are 3 stars or below. So this is kind of a screenshot of what it looks like when you're building out a campaign like this. And you can see Amazon already does a category. Indoor bike storage is the example here. There's the target button, which is obvious. And then there's the refine button, which isn't as obvious because it's just kind of in blue on the side. But you always want to click on refine. Then you'll get this screen that you see here. You could even target specific brands. If you want to run a campaign each for a particular brand that you're trying to target, you could use this for that. Price range, star rating, and prime eligibility. So all these levers can be used to attract the customers. And again, targets that have a lower star rating or a higher price than you are ones that you might want to target, because then you'll stand out by comparison. This is one I wanted to add another pro tip for this area. And again, it's simple, but I kind of put it in the advanced because I really feel like it's something that you should be doing maybe every couple of weeks or at least once a month, especially if you haven't run this campaign type before. But if you are running this campaign type, then you want to make sure that you're always refreshing the ASINs. And this is a simple way to do it. You can go on Amazon, click on the newest arrivals, sort that, and use, Cerebro, X-Ray, kind of went over those in the last session, and just download all the ASINs that are on the page. So basically the tip here is if you search for the newest arrivals, you'll immediately find brand new products that just launched on Amazon that are in that particular, hopefully that are relevant to that keyword that you've typed in. And they probably don't have any ads running against them yet. So it's kind of like open real estate. So if you do that regularly, you'll always have your product ads kind of taking first hit or first dibs, so to speak, on brand new products that are launching in your particular category. So again, simple, but can be powerful if you do it regularly.
But in all of the PPC conversations that I've had, nobody has ever mentioned that as a strategy, and I never would have thought about it. So
it's actually something I included in the Amazon PPC Academy that we launched with Nina Elias from Trivium with Helium 10 last fall, and we actually had it in the intro. And I was like, that is really cool, but it's technically something you should be doing on a regular basis because there's how many thousands of new sellers coming onto Amazon every single day, right? Yeah. If you take that into mind, you're like, oh, simple. They don't have any ads running against them yet. So make sure that you are showing, and it should be a simple win, right? All right, sponsored display audience targeting. This is a little bit more advanced, so I kind of wanted to go into detail about this. It's the other version of the sponsored display targeting. This is what it looks like if you're building out a sponsored display campaign and you happen to click on audiences. You have to choose either contextual or audiences. Amazon breaks it up by audiences, remarketing, and purchases remarketing. So I just kind of wanted to go into detail because this can be confusing, but I definitely think it's worth testing at the very, very least what these different Amazon audiences are. There's lifestyle, interests, life events, and in-market. Now, and Amazon doesn't limit how many of these types of audiences that you can target. So a pro tip here is you can cross-reference. Once you understand what they are, you can kind of mix and match to kind of not refine, but maybe broaden the reach of your product. In this example, you're selling a baby product. Well, Amazon has an audience for lifestyle, new to category baby products, as well as life events, new parents. So if you cross-reference those, your baby product is likely something that person is shopping for. So let's just break down the 4 of these really quickly. The lifestyle audience. This is basically saying audiences whose shopping and streaming behaviors suggest certain lifestyle preferences. So an example would be students and professionals, college age students, and academia. So let's say this person is in this audience, but they're searching for a brand new TV. So you can see in the image, the product listing is actually for a Samsung, TV, but the product that it's being shown to them, if your product matches like a college or student kind of product like this laptop backpack, because Amazon knows that this person has purchased other things that indicate that they're a college age student, your product is what will appear here on, again, that sponsored display placement right below the featured offer or right below the bullets. Just 2 of the prime examples, but that even though your product isn't related to the TV, it's what will appear because, again, Amazon knows the shopper. So same thing with interests. In this example, an interest that you can target within Amazon is food and drinking activities. If you happen to sell a nonstick quart saucepan, same thing. The person's shopping for a TV. The TV is the same in this example. Person's shopping for a TV, but because Amazon knows this particular interest, your product that might relate to them for cooking is what will appear in that placement. Life events, it kind of goes back to the first one. Recent movers or new parents. Amazon knows based on shopping behavior, again, if the person's likely to be a recent mover or a new parent. So again, shoppers shopping for a TV, but your product for diaper caddy storage is the one that will appear. And then in market. And this is kind of cool. It lets people that are shopping for things, but haven't yet purchased it. So Amazon knows what's maybe in your lists. Amazon knows things that you've saved for later. Amazon knows what's in your cart. Maybe you just haven't purchased it yet. So that's examples of kind of in market or in the aisle, I like to call it for store reference. And the same thing, because that person knows, or Amazon knows that shopper is into home and garden do-it-yourself tools, because let's say they've got a whole bunch of those types of products and they're saved, on a list or in their cart already. You happen to be selling garden gloves. They're shopping for a TV, but Amazon's going to show you your garden gloves. And these placements are very similar exactly to ways that you can target in DSP. So DSP is a lot more advanced. There's a lot more levers and a lot more control with DSP, but there's a barrier of entry to DSP. I think I mentioned that previously, but you can still kind of get access to this type of placements by running sponsored display audiences. Remarketing, I didn't kind of want to get into, because you guys should understand remarketing. Remarketing simply means when you're shopping for a product and you go to another page, and it even happens on Amazon. You'll be shopping for one product, but then you go to a completely different listing and you see the ad for that product that you were looking at before, right? Happens in Amazon and it happens outside Amazon. So Amazon's got a whole list of websites. They own Twitch, they own a bunch of different properties. So remarketing simply means they're going to follow you, right? So, and they can follow you based on if they've made a purchase or the shopper's just viewed your product and hasn't actually made a purchase yet. Amazon can track that, and then you can create remarketing campaigns to follow that particular seller, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you, Lisa?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I kind of wanted to condense this a little bit and talk more about additional advanced tactics. Amazon posts, this isn't one that is necessarily Amazon PPC specific, but they keep changing the placement of this. Right now, or recently on Bulletproof, I saw it was right below the customer reviews. So this strip is very, very powerful, right? So if you've got, if you're doing Instagram already, you should be taking advantage of Amazon posts, because it's just another way to protect kind of or add a layer of your products and cross-sell that I think is super powerful. And on that note, it kind of relates to this tactic, which is just simply brand defense or conquesting. So you can see in this screenshot, you've got, I happen to be on a Bulletproof listing, and all the ads that are there are for other Bulletproof products. Now, the pro tip on this one is, I don't know how new it is. I feel like it's kind of new, but take advantage of this placement because this is right below frequently bought together. So pretty high on the page. Now, if you have enough products to be running ads against, Amazon will put all your products that you're running ads against into this carousel. So you can see there's 1 of 7 pages on this screen. So I could scroll through 7 pages and they'd all be Bulletproof, because Bulletproof is running ads for all those products. So you have to be running campaigns for your own products and targeting your own pages. Amazon will then create a carousel that is just for you. On that note, I kind of wanted to go into the Bulletproof example again to talk about conquesting and brand protection. Last time when I looked at this originally, every single sponsored placement, which again, this is weird. There's only one on the top row. I think Lisa,
that's crazy.
There was like 3 the other day and 4 the other day. Anyway, there's only one in this example, but every other sponsored placements, including the video, which is in the middle and in the bottom, right? So again, I was telling you, Amazon's adding these placements, but every single sponsored placement on this entire page is owned by Bulletproof. So they're doing an incredible job of making sure there's the 4 instead of the top. It's the bottom or middle of the page. I have no idea anymore. Sponsored. Okay. So they didn't get the last 2, but still incredibly good job. And I believe it's because Amazon's maybe moving around and adding different sponsor placements. But I did notice that they are, again, at the bottom, right? So super powerful. Not only does Bulletproof have a video on the bottom, a video in the middle, but they also have that very powerful brand new campaign type that I mentioned to you before, which is the top. So they're fully brand protected, and by that I simply mean they're really, really good on making sure that they're bidding the most, probably, on all the different variations of their particular keywords. So not only is that important to do on your on the search results page, but it's also important to do on your listing as well. So again, I'm talking about sponsored display, contextual targeting. Amazon, I've seen a lot more Amazon taking this top position right here for their own things. it toggles, it changes, but sometimes that is usually an ad. And again, you're on a bulletproof page, but you've got a bulletproof ad in that position right below the bullets or the bullet area. And again, don't have an ad here, but there is usually an ad here. I don't know if Amazon's just getting rid of that one, but typically what I've seen is that it is also bulletproof. And then you've got, let's see, as you scroll down. Yeah, see, this was the page where it had the featured offer. Well, there's the posts, but products related to this item. So they didn't get the first position, but usually what I've seen before from Bulletproof is they have all of this position as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different placements that they could be targeting right here. And in the past, again, I've seen them all in this. So that simply means they're also targeting their own ASINs. So they're doing a really good job targeting their own keywords, but they're also making sure, because they have enough product to do it, that they are different versions of their products, that they really can be seen on most of the pages. So they've got a couple of placements here on the second page, and then it drops off. So, again, you get the point. The more products you have really to target, then you should be targeting your own ASIN so that you take advantage of this. And so someone else like Rise or whatever this espresso is, or Shroom Fuel, isn't visible, right? Because now that this is visible, I might go, VitaCup, really like that brand. I didn't know they did mushrooms. I might click on that now. So if Bulletproof was doing a better job of their PPC, maybe I should call them. All of these would be Bulletproof. All right. So again, that's just called conquesting, but it is something that people should be doing, especially with that new frequently bought together section that, or below explore more section, I should say, that I recently saw. Another tactic that I think is interesting that I also learned at Prosper: refining category targets with a price band. So as I showed you before, you can refine by price points or stars or target particular brands. Well, in this example, it's pretty interesting where they've added pretty much the same target, exercise and fitness dumbbells. So it's the same category. And the only refinement that really they made is the price points. So they're targeting 200 to 400, 1 to 200, 3 to 400, 200, 300. So doing something like this, which is called price banding, you really get a clear understanding of what price points for category targets most shoppers convert, and at what ACoS or what ROAS. So this is kind of exploratory, which you should always be doing with Amazon PPC, is kind of exploring what's working and it's not working. This is one thing that I thought was interesting that you could do. So you can see this advertiser's targeting the same category, different prices. That gives them a little bit more optimization levers. So this is one campaign. So they can, if they see one particular price band is working over the other, they can make adjustments to that and then really kind of scale it. Last but not least is one of my favorite recent topics is just AI. There's a lot of talk about ChatGPT and everything that you can do with it, and AI in general. And again, something I saw at Prosper from my good friend Rob Whitsley at Video Fresh. I don't know if you know him, but he's a great one to interview as well, Lisa. But AI attention heat maps, in this example, you can see 3 different images at the top. And at the bottom, you can see what would to us be a heat map. And this is basically the AI or their system or computer indicating where the eye goes, right? So if you're not using this kind of technology, you might think all top of the 3 pictures look great. Now, you could use services like PickFu if you're just launching campaigns to get ideas from real people to say what actually converts for them. But you can also kind of do the same thing with AI now too, and I'll show you a neat trick at the end. But effectively, in these 3 examples, the one that actually stands out is the one with both the writing, so the name of the product, caviar and cashmere, and also the person's eye. So people's eyes are actually interesting, but maybe not, because whenever you're walking around, you're walking past people, what do? You look in their eyes, right? So this leverages that and says, how much, because there's eyes in every single one of these images. But this lets you know which is the most powerful one. So there's lots of different paid services offer the AI heat map, like I just showed you. That one was for Zyro.com, but you can also click on or research the other two. Now, most of these are just for website design or for like your creative, which again, I've mentioned a few times. Whenever you can use creative, do that. But it does work really well for analyzing video frames as well, which again is the thing that should be the thing that stands out the most in your video, as I was talking about before. So a nice little tip that you can do, you can kind of use this AI technology for free, just using YouTube. So you don't even have to download your video fully on YouTube, but if you have a video and you add it to YouTube, they've got their own AI, and it'll tell you which of because it'll scan the entire video and it'll pull out some frames to say, hey, these are the ones that are most effective. So you can see in the circle here, you've got a few different options, and that is the one that YouTube knows will get the most attention. So you can kind of out of the gate use that as your starting image, or use that as your opening frame, and you can do that all for free, right? So that is it from me for our advanced session. And if you guys have any questions for me on any of this, happy to answer them. You've got my email here, vince.m@triviumco.com, or follow me on linkedin.com/v Montero.
I love it. Especially that last one. That is such a hack, a free hack. Everybody's already using YouTube.
Right?
Just upload it, grab it. It's what you need.
You just don't even need to fully download it, right? But you can get the idea of what is going to actually catch the eye the most, which potentially is going to be what converts the most, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Vince, thank you so much. We've got to, I know we've already done it a few times, but we've got to give a little more airtime to Trivium Co. Tell us more about what y'all do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trivium Group is a PPC agency that does actually many of the features or many of the tactics that I just shared with you today, as well as the previous episodes. And it's run by Mina Elias, who's a really good friend of mine, and they are focused on really kind of providing help for as many different people in the PPC space as possible. So not only do they do an incredible job with managing PPC and as well as DSP, you can do DSP using Trivium if you are interested in that. But we're also producing a lot of content. So he, when I left Helium 10 end of last year, he basically said, hey, I want you to keep doing what you're doing, sharing, finding new things, sharing it with the broader Amazon space. So that's why I came on board to help him out with producing content, and then also doing these podcasts and webinars with lovely people such as you.
Absolutely loved interviewing you, dear. And yeah, you guys are killing it with the content. Brandy does a great job. Mina does too. Just his personal channel is so great, because he was a seller himself, excuse me.
Still.
So he speaks a lot to not only PPC, but his own experience scaling brands,
which is
things
invaluable. Like I've been doing PPC for 7 years, but just that, right? I've only been able to help sellers on the PPC side, listing optimization as well, because that comes with that territory a little bit, but it's a different level when you've actually got the background of going through all the steps and processes of selling on Amazon as well. And that's how, he taught himself, right? Back in the day when he was running his own product, he had to learn PPC himself. And he did it so well that he decided to help more people through his agency.
Yeah, he's just absolutely incredible. The whole Trivium team is incredible. We love you guys. And Vince, thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge, this 3-part deep dive, information-rich session for sellers about PPC. This alone is invaluable. So thank you so much. You're welcome. I hope people like it. I hope so too. You guys let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll get those over to Vince and have them answered. And otherwise, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.